Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said this morning that he's very confident Australia will meet the Paris Agreement and that, in fact, Australia must meet the Paris Agreement. So we're talking about here the target to cut emissions by 43% by the end of the decade on 2005 levels. Now, the reason the Prime Minister has been speaking about this today is because the Coalition came out on the weekend and said that that target won't be met and suggested that a future Coalition government would dump that target, something the Prime Minister has been very critical of.
Peter Dutton is walking away from climate action. His decision to abandon the 2030 target means him walking away from the Paris Accord. If you walk away from the Paris Accord, you'll be standing with Libya, Yemen and Iran and against all of our major trading partners and all of our important allies.
The Independent Climate Change Authority said last year that Australia wasn't on track to meet this target, and in fact emissions actually rose to June last year. But analysis from the Energy Department suggests that Australia is within striking distance of getting to that target. That's what the government says, that the projections by 2030 are to cut emissions by 42% when the target is that 43%. Now, as for the Coalition, for what targets a future potential Coalition government would set, we don't know. The Shadow Energy Minister, Ted O'Brien, insisted this morning that a Coalition government would set new targets and that it would still meet net zero by 2050. Take a listen.
We are absolutely committed to the Paris Agreement. We are absolutely committed to achieving net zero by 2050, and we will have a plan to do so. What we have done is we've called Labor out. Labor legislated for a 43% emissions reduction cut by 2030. They have Buckley's chance of achieving that.
Now, we know that the Coalition, if it wins government, wants nuclear energy to be part of the energy mix, and Ted O'Brien was asked this morning about the costings and locations of nuclear reactors. He said that would be released in due course, but all of this really points to the fact that climate and energy are shaping up to be two big topics ahead of a federal election.